Hello, dear friends. Do you remember the children's game of searching for Wally or Waldo in the 90s? Now it's the same thing with the elderly president. No one knows where he is, and even his supporters are beginning to wonder. Opinion article: Where is Wally or Waldo? Solving the JB mystery. Where is the president hiding? Even his supporters are asking questions. Half of those polled questions his health. Florida takes legal action against the president. A dozen states sue JB over his statements. Pentagon extends National Guard on Capitol Hill. Human traffickers tag them with bracelets. Russia and China sign agreement to create base on the moon. Study proves we sleep less before each full moon. China pledges to build Polo Silk Road in the Arctic. Bill Gates wants to deploy modified mosquitoes to inject inoculations. A YouTuber creates a collar that blocks microphones and prevents her from being spied on. Hackers say they breached 150,000 live streaming cameras. Kremlin alarmed at reports of possible US cyberattacks. Let's start. Where is Wally, originally titled Where is Wally and renamed Where is Waldo in the US and Canada, is a series of books created by British cartoonist Martin Handford in 1987. However, they are not books for reading but for playing, in whose illustrated pages you have to find the character of Wally in scenes with thousands of drawings and details that mislead the reader. To identify him more easily, Wally is always dressed in the same way: a red and white horizontal striped sweater, glasses, jeans, and a wool hat, also with red and white stripes. In addition, he usually carried accessories such as cameras hanging around his neck, camping gear or books, his walking stick, which he sometimes ends up losing, so they must also be searched for by the reader player of this book, of this game. Parallelism. This question can now be applied to the alleged president. Where is Biden hiding? Even CNN is starting to ask questions as the president goes a record amount of time without press conferences. The president has gone longer without question and answer press conference than any other US president in modern history. Now that the jubilation of this inauguration by his supporters has passed, even his media allies are beginning to wonder why. Monday marked Joe Biden's 47th day in office, and also his 47th without appearing before the press to answer questions. The president has sat for several taped interviews and given brief sound bites to reporters and events, but not a single proper question and answer session has materialized. He has gone longer without holding a press conference than any of his 50 most recent predecessors, all of whom faced the media in their first 33 days in office. Donald Trump waited 27 days, while Barack Obama, Biden's former boss, held his first after only 20 days. Many in the mainstream propaganda media were ecstatic when Biden took office after 4 years of hostility toward Trump. However, even the more pro-Biden media are beginning to demand an appearance by the president. Poll. Half of citizens question Biden's physical and mental health, concerned about lack of press conferences. A new poll found that 50% of Americans are questioning President Biden's mental fitness, and more than half are concerned about this lack of solo press conferences. When asked, how confident are you that Joe Biden is physically and mentally up to the job of President of the US, 50% of the respondents in Rasmussen poll of 1,000 likely US voters in the first week of March responded that they were not sure. Only 48% responded that they were confident or very confident in Biden's physical and mental condition. A history of public gaffes and verbal stumbles has led to several theories about the 78-year-old's mental competence, the most recent of which was that of the President's former Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, named and referred to him as the guy who runs the thing over there. Donald Trump Jr. responded to the poll saying there was serious chance that only 50% of people has questioned Biden's mental aptitude, and that the figure instead represented the percentage willing to say it out loud. Lawsuits. Attorney General to take legal actions against Biden for releasing criminal immigrants. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody said Tuesday that she is taking legal action against the Biden administration because of its immigration regulations that he says run counter to federal law. A dozen states sue Biden for attempting to calculate social cost of greenhouse gases. In an executive order on climate policy, the president ordered the establishment of the social cost of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide emissions, saying it will help agencies to determine the social benefits of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Attorneys general from 12 states filed suit Monday against the administration following its January executive order that provided in particular for establishing the social cost of greenhouse gases. Among the states suing the administration are Missouri, Arizona, Arkansas, Indiana, Kansas, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Utah. The legal action is being led by Missouri Attorney General Eric Smith. Politics. Trump gains leverage to revamp GOP with fundraising tactic. The former president laid the groundwork in the last week to exert financial leverage over the Republican Party apparatus by instructing his supporters to donate only to his campaign website and political action committee, while demanding that the Republican National Committee and its affiliates in the chambers of Congress stop using his name and image for fundraising. Pentagon approves extension of the reduced National Guard presence around Capitol Hill. The Pentagon on Tuesday approved a request to keep about 2,300 National Guard troops in Washington to help protect the Capitol Hill for 2 more months. The number is about half the 5,200 National Guard troops currently patrolling the Capitol Hill. The Pentagon promises that the ARRW hypersonic missile will make its first flight in 30 days, while the US struggles to bring its first hypersonic missile online. Russia is preparing to test what could be its fourth such weapon, and China already has its own hypersonic missiles ready for deployment. The US Air Force will fire the AGM-183A air-launched rapid response weapon, the Army's first hypersonic missile in less than a month. Some submarine ravaged by bedbugs. The crew of the fast attack submarine Connecticut has been subjected to a bedbug infestation and in its racks, and sailors assigned to the submarine allege that the ship's command has been slow to address the problem. The infestation problem began while the submarine was participating in ISEX 2020 in the Arctic Ocean in March 2020 and continued during a deployment last year, according to a Connecticut petty officer who asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation. Traffickers track U.S. bound migrants with bracelets along the banks of the Rio Grande in brush-covered grasslands near Penitas, Texas. Hundreds of colorful plastic bracelets ripped off by migrants are strewn on the ground, signs of what U.S. border officials say is a growing trend among powerful drug traffickers, cartels, and smugglers to track people who pay to cross illegally into the U.S. Astronautics. U.S. fears Russia's space capabilities. General John Raymond, commander of the Space Force, stated that Russia and China's ability to operate in space raises concerns. But what exactly does the U.S. fear? The threat we are looking at today is very serious. Both China and Russia have several laser systems of varying power that can destroy or damage satellites or hinder our ability to operate them. Both have possibilities that raise concerns, Raymond said. Mars webcam, singular, unveil secrets of curious cloud. The webcam that focuses on the surface of Mars from ESA Mars Express orbiter has unlocked the secrets of the seasonal cloud plume near the Asia Moon's volcano. A replica of the starship from the Mandalorian series is built in Siberia. The structure was recently installed in the Russian city of Yakutsk in the Russian Republic of Sakha, and can be visited by anyone interested. A group of Russian fans of the series The Mandalorian built a replica of the Razor Crest, the starship in which the main character, Din Djarin, also known as the Mandalorian, traveled. China outperforms the US because it plays a long-term game of chess, while Washington plays checkers a day, in quotes, but because this is only an opinion, personal opinion. The US is lagging behind China in high technology because US companies do not invest in research and development, preferring instead to resort to stock buybacks and indebting the entity for a lethal bailout. In this way, all the risk involved in any innovation is passed on the state to the taxpayers, while those companies keep the rewards. The Kaiser report hosts point out. In my opinion, this is a lack of patriotism. Russia and China signed a memorandum on the creation of a scientific station on the moon. The Russian Space Agency, Roscosmos, and the National Space Administration of China have signed a memorandum of understanding between the two governments on cooperation in the field of creation of the International Scientific Lunar Station. The goal is to promote cooperation in the creation of the International Scientific Lunar Station with open access for all interested countries and international partners. Roscosmos states that the project is intended to strengthen cooperation in research and promote the exploration and use of outer space for peaceful purposes in the interest of all mankind. Good intentions, but I don't believe in them. Science. Bill Gates wants to deploy genetically modified mosquitoes to inject inoculations. Microsoft founder Bill Gates is mulling the use of genetically modified mosquitoes to forcibly inoculate people. The tech bigwig and inoculation advocate is elevating his needling obsession with the Flying Shrines project. To make this idea a reality, Gates has provided funding to a Japanese scientist who has pushed the idea of genetically modifying mosquitoes. A study proves that we sleep less before each full moon. The moon affects the tides and apparently our sleep patterns as well. Our research carried out in Argentina and the US proved that people sleep less on the days before the full moon, regardless of whether they have electric light or not. The work, published in the Journal of Science Advances, was carried out by researchers from the National University of Quilmes, Argentina, and the Universities of Washington and Yale, USA. Ancient DNA shows that cats domesticated themselves. Research reveals that the ancestors of wild cats share essentially the same genetics as today's domestic cats. It was the cat itself that came to take over the territory around the homes of the ancient farmer, or the dog of the ancient sailor. They were attracted to an abundant supply of prey in the form of rodents, which made their species and ours inseparably linked. Symbiosis. This is called symbiosis. Digital news. Central bank digital currencies. In recent weeks, Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve and Christine Lagarde of the European Central Bank talked about the likelihood of implementing digital currencies in the next few years. The positive aspects were well explained: more transparency, ease of use, a lower cost. But the main risk is privacy. Hackers say they breached 150,000 live streaming cameras, including in hospitals, prisons, and schools, in order to expose lax security standards. A collective of hackers claims to have gained access to approximately 150,000 security cameras, including in prisons, hospitals, and even a Tesla factory. The intruders say they found the username and password for an online super administration account. Social networking site Gap goes offline after refusing to pay hacker. Social networking site Gap blamed oligarch tyrants, in quotes, for being forced to go offline after they refused to pay a ransom in Bitcoin to a hacker who had stolen gigabytes of user data. Kremlin alarmed at reports of possible US cyberattacks. The Kremlin is very alarmed at media reports of alleged US plans to carry out cyberattack against Russia. Russian presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, in quotes, "It is alarming information as rather respectful American media admits and, what is more, announces the possibility of such cyberattacks," close quotes. Peskov commented on the recent publication of the New York Times. As the newspaper reported on March 8th, the US plans in response to the hacking of the SolarWinds company in 2020 to launch a series of cyber attacks against Russian government networks intended to be hidden from everyone except the Kremlin and Russian intelligence services. Tactics to force self-censorship. While many citizens are concerned about increasing censorship, those responsible for censorship have managed to amplify its effect by creating a climate of self-censorship. Due to the psychological mechanisms of self-censorship, a single blocked account, a single deleted video, or a banned book can result in a widespread chilling of expression. Important political debates do not occur. New ideas are not proposed to the editors, and books are not accepted for publication or even written. YouTube news. A YouTuber creates a collar that blocks microphones and prevents her from being spied on. The device consists of ultrasonic transducers and a 3D printed strap. A Chinese YouTuber has created a necklace that prevents microphones in the user's environment or other devices such as voice assistants from spying on and recording her conversations. In a video posted last weekend on YouTube channel Naomi Sexy Cyborg, her name, the digital content creator, shows in detail the development process of the device called the Cyberpunk Ultrasonic Microphone Jammer. The necklace strap was 3D printed, and the microphone jammer of that YouTuber is inspired by a bracelet filled with ultrasonic transducers developed by the University of Chicago. YouTube tells foreign creators they will soon be charged a US tax. This comes after cutting nearly half of creators' earnings. YouTube has told its content creators and partners that they should be prepared to pay US taxes on their earnings, even if they live and work elsewhere. Already burdened video creators are taking it hard. The Google-owned video platform updated its terms of service to tax US creators shortly after the 2020 election, but the change went largely unnoticed because of the uproar over censorship. On Tuesday, however, YouTube announced that creators outside the US will soon deduct taxes from earnings. Another major complaint from creators was that their own governments were already taxing their earnings, so YouTube's announcement amounted to double dipping, while some of the commenters on Twitter suggested checking which countries have a tax treaty with the US to avoid double taxation. There were some who reasoned that the world needs a non-US website to do the same thing as YouTube. Google, YouTube's parent company, has a long history of structuring its overseas operations to avoid paying taxes, particularly in the European Union, as well as opposing taxes that countries like Russia and India have tried to level with the Silicon Valley giant, the world's largest tech company. Short news. British royal family says it's concerned about accusations of racism made by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The UK royal family said Tuesday it was concerned about accusations of racism made by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in their interview with Oprah Winfrey, which aired Sunday. China pledged to build Polo Silk Road. Beijing this week announced its intention to build a Polo Silk Road and actively participate in the development of the Arctic and Antarctic regions as part of its new 2021 and to 2025 5-year plan. According to the plan released Friday, China would engage in pragmatic cooperation at the North Pole and enhance its ability to participate in the protection and utilization of the South Pole, the Antarctic. A girl's lie led to the murder of teacher Samuel Paty. The teenager told her father that the teacher has asked the Muslim students to leave class if they didn't want to see the cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad that he was going to show. She used this lie to hide the fact that she had been expelled from school for 2 days. In fact, the girl didn't even go to school the day Patty gave her a course on freedom of speech, but he didn't show any cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. Don Jorge, Mr. George, finances Jesuit universities that organize abortion and gender ideology events. The Open Society Foundation invested $2 million in universities founded by the Society of Jesus. Don George's link with the promotion of abortion and gender ideology clashes with the founding principles of these educational institutions. According to official figures of this society, 7 universities of the Society of Jesus, Jesuits, in countries of America, the US and Europe received in the last years more than $2 million from the foundation of the pro-abortion magnate. Opinions. The cause of insanity according to Mike Adams. Anyone with a functioning brain can see that society is tearing itself apart, with insanity, despair, hatred, and the collapse of reason. But why do these things happen? Why can't today's young professional afford a house? Why is there such an income disparity between the working poor and the elite rich? Why is food inflation getting out of control, with many food supplies becoming increasingly scarce? Why does everything seem rigged against honest, ethical people who are simply trying to make a honest living? There is a common cause behind all these things, and it's something that is tearing our world apart while rewarding criminals who now see themselves above the law. Puffness message by Steve Biko. Progress is being made with the impeachment of some politicians and some businessmen who have been walking a very fine line for how many years. Wake up and watch the signs that are firing from all sides. Watch the changing issues and how they present themselves. The funds you have been waiting for a long time are still in the hopper. Yes, they all are still there. Just the fact that they are there should add some patience to many. If they were to receive it right now, they will freeze up again. Wait, make room for it in your wheels of papers. Be sure to keep it in mind and keep the night light on. It won't be long before you know a lot more than you do now. Thank you very much, dear friends, and thank you for your attention.